So, good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's class. For today's class, we'll be discussing the lecture topic 7, and the topic of the lecture is unemployment. And of course, I remain Onyebuchi Iwebu. For this particular class, the considerations we are going to be having first is we're going to consider the definition of unemployment, and then we are going to consider measurement of unemployment. Thereafter, we will also consider types of unemployment. And then the last we are going to consider is the Phillips curve. Okay, so that is the last we will consider in this particular um, class. All right, so for a start, the definition. Okay, when you talk about unemployment, all right, many people sometimes have a kind of various definition of the concept of unemployment. All right, people would tell you, oh, unemployment is this, unemployment is that. All right, but you need to be careful and you need to understand that when you're talking about economics, we have various definition or what we consider as unemployment. Okay. So to start, you can just simply say unemployment means lack of jobs. All right. Okay. Lack of jobs. And it has to do with those who are able and are willing to work at the prevailing wage. So the first thing is that you must be able, all right? And then the second thing is that you must be willing to work, okay? You must be able, and at the same time, you must be willing to work. So when you are able and you are willing, and however, you don't find yourself engaged in one of the works, in that case, you can simply say that what you are what unemployed. Okay. So under that definition, you have to understand that unemployment, all right, is dynamic. Okay. And it's time bound. So the first thing is you must be able, all right. Either you are able by law, all right, or you are able, okay, by by yourself. So you must be able and then you must be willing, but at the same time, you cannot find a job. Okay. Now, but when you look at this definition, it is a little ambiguous, kind of, because when you say somebody is able, the question you ask yourself is, at what point am I able to work? At what point? Okay. And that is where we have to now talk about age boundary. So we need to consider the age, the definition of the age. We need to look at the age boundary whenever we are talking about unemployment. All right. So some people would say, oh, it is when you are up to 15 years, that is when you can say you can be qualified to work. While some will say no, it is when you are 18. Some would say no, when you are 16. But however, for the International Labour Organization, according to ILO, it specifies that only those that are belonging to the age group of between 15 years and 65 years that are actually qualified to work, and they should be included in the labor force of the country. So when you now see the definition of being able therefore means that you must be qualified according to the law for you to be able to work. So someone that is 14 years, someone that is 12 years, all right, despite the person looking huge, having some energy and some strength to work, that person will not be allowed to work because the person has not qualified for that particular age. All right. And at times, some people would also tell you, oh, I'm 70 years and I am still strong. and I can do some things, I can walk, I can do this, I can do that. By law, you are not qualified to actually do what? To work. You need to understand that, okay? By law, you are not qualified to work. So that means that you must be within the ages of 15 and 65 years. That is according to the International Labour Organization. Okay? Now let's go to United States. If you look at the US considers only those that are what? At the ages of what? 16 years and above. So US does not consider 15. US decides to go for what? 16 years and above. So if you are 15 years in US, you cannot be qualified to work. If you decide to work under that scenario, we would say that you are involving in child labor. All right. So you see someone that is 10 years, 9 years, and is doing something that is child labor because you are not qualified to work as a them. So each country have their own definition of who is able. All right. But for Nigeria, Nigeria follows the age boundary of 15 to 64 years. So if you are below 15 years, you are not qualified. You are not able by the law. And then if you are above 64 years, you are also not able and you are not what, qualified. So what that means is that unemployment, all right, must be defined according to the law. And that law for Nigeria means first, you must be within the ages of 15 and 64. Second, all right, you must be willing to work. All right. And third, you can't find a job you're doing. Under that scenario, we can then say that this particular individual is what? Unemployed. Okay. So when you consider unemployment, we then say that we are discussing about the number of those who are qualified, who are able, all right? However, they are not finding any job to do. That is what we talk about what? On what? Employment, okay? That is the first definition and concept you need to understand. I know you have done this in your secondary school, all right? But you need to understand some key things so that you will have a better perspective when we consider the word what? Unemployment. Okay? Now, another thing you also have to consider is a concept where we talk about full employment. All right. So now we know that when we talk about unemployment or when we say someone is unemployed, we are talking about someone that falls within a particular age bracket, which is 15 to 64 for Nigeria, all right, and is willing to work, is searching for job, but this person can't find one. So we have talked about that unemployment. We also need to consider another term, full employment, all right, full employment. When you hear the word again, full employment, that does not necessarily mean that there is no unemployment. Okay? But what that actually means is that we have a situation, all right, whereby some people are unemployed, all right? But at that point, you cannot increase employment, okay? If you decide to raise the effective demand. Remember that when people are demanding for goods and services, then there will be the need for people to engage in production. And when people are engaged in production, they will employ people. You have already been taught in your first semester on production when you consider the factors of production. Labor is one of them. So you remember that when people are engaged, all right, in production, then you will employ people. So if there is no effective demand, if people are not demanding for goods, all right, in that case, you won't employ people. But there are cases whereby even if there is an increase in effective demand, people are demanding for goods and services, all right? Under that scenario, despite people are demanding for goods and services, employment cannot increase. At that point, we see that we are in full employment. So full employment arises at a situation or at a point at that particular instance where there is, despite an increase in effective demand for employment, despite an increase in effective demand, all right, employment does not necessarily go up. So that is full employment. So you must also understand that under that full employment, that does not mean that everybody is actually working. Everybody, nobody is unemployed. No, we still have people that are unemployed. However, the only thing there is just that despite people are unemployed, are unemployed, even if you increase the demand for goods and services, okay, you would still definitely have no increase in employment. So at that point, we see employment, all right, is full, okay? And then United Nations define that full employment to exist only when there is unemployment, okay, in excess of frictional and what seasonal unemployment. Don't worry, when we discuss the types of unemployment, you will definitely understand that, okay? Then the next thing you need to understand is unemployment. What does it measure? We'll say unemployment, okay, is labor force minus number of people that are employed plus those that are frictionally unemployed. Don't worry, when we get to the types of unemployment, we are going to discuss that frictionally unemployed. Frictional. You would understand that particular meaning, frictionally unemployed. And then you also consider the meaning of it, and then you understand that unemployment will then be labor force minus number of people employed plus frictionally or those that are what unemployed. For us to actually understand this particular concept perfectly, we need to understand total population, we need to understand labor force, and then we need to understand dependent population so that you wouldn't just see everybody that are just shouting, oh, I don't have job, I don't have job, and then you classify them as unemployed. No, you need to ask yourself some questions. What particular category does this person fall into? Okay. So if the person falls into a particular category, is that person qualified to work? All right. So this is just a brief introduction, all right, of that concept unemployment. Remember, the take home here is that unemployment, all right, is defined by those who are able, okay, and are willing to work, but they do not find a job. And I have taken my time to define that meaning of being able. Being able does not necessarily mean, oh, the person has sound mind. The person is not crippled. Even the cripple works, okay? So being able does not mean the person is incapacitated. No, that's not just what we are talking about. Because somebody can be incapacitated, somebody can be sick and be at the hospital for 6 months, for 1 year, and the person is still receiving salary. So that's not the definition of being able I'm talking about. But when we say the person is able and willing, the able that the ability there is that the person is being empowered by the law to actually qualify to work. And then I gave you an overview of that meaning of being able, how it is applied according to International Labour Organization, that of US, and that of Nigeria. And then the next concept I also explained is the concept of full employment, that even in the midst of unemployment, all right, you can still have full employment. And again, when you have full employment, that does not mean there is no unemployment. So I'm summing it up to say that unemployment will always exist in an economy, even in the most developed economies, even in the advanced economies. You take US, Germany, UK, unemployment will always exist. There will be those people that are not working. And that is why I said unemployment is dynamic. Okay? I said unemployment is what? So we will be considering the measures of unemployment. Okay? And remember that in my previous slide, I said you must take note of different categories of people we have. Total population, the labor force, all right, as well as the dependent population. Now, let's now look at the measurement of unemployment, still focusing on that total population, labor force, as well as the dependent population. Now, this particular chart is from the National Bureau of Statistics, Nigeria, that is in charge of calculating the unemployment or the total number of people that are unemployed that we have in Nigeria. So they divided the population according to this particular charts you're seeing. All right. The ones on the blue are the working population. Okay. If you look at that, you have those that are from 15, all right, 15 to 64 years. Just like I told you, that is the definition.
Sir, we can't see your screen, sir. We can't see your screen, sir.
All right. So I said from the National Bureau of Statistics, who is in charge of calculating the total number of people that are unemployed, all right, in Nigeria. They've divided the Nigerian population into this strata that you can see. First, we have the working age. So National Bureau of Statistics calls it the working age. Okay. In economics literature, we call it labor force. So when you see working age, we are talking about what? Labor force. Within that labor force, we now have those at 15 to 64 years. Okay. So we assume that once you are 15 to 64, you should be categorized under those that are able by the law to work. Now we have those that should not be in the working age. These people that should not be in the working age are the dependent population. And the dependent population are those that are under 15. They are not up to 15 years. And again, they are 64 years and above. So someone that is 64 years and above, all right, that person that is 64 years and above will be classified as a dependent population. While the person that is below 15 is classified as a child, okay, that is not qualified to work. Then within the working age, we have the labor force. So the labor force now is defined as those that are willing and able. Okay? And then we now have those that are not in the labor force, not in labor force. These are those that they are between 15 and 64. But one, they are unable. That unable there is defined by they are incapacitated, which means they are healed, they've had long-term sickness, all right, okay, or they are born imbecile, okay. So we have them always in the society and the environment. Those are the ones that are unable. Then we have those that are unwilling, they don't just want to work. Okay. You know, in the olden days, people say yes, housewife. Just like in quote, our president initially said, President Buhari initially said, when he said, you know, while in conversation, that the role of a woman is in the kitchen and in the other room. Okay. That kind of statement was just like the kind of olden day statement that we know that, oh, women is just for them to get married and provide food for the family, take care of the children, and they are not supposed to work. All right. Under that scenario, those are people that are unwilling, okay? Unwilling. Their husbands have told them, don't do anything, you just sit at home. I want to be seeing you every day. I'm happy seeing you. In fact, I'm always happy. Don't do anything. Those are the words, unwilling. Okay? Then we have not actively seeking to work. That is also very important. Not actively seeking to work. So once you are not actively seeking to work, what happens? You are not in the labor force. Even though you are 28 years, even though you have BSc, even though you have your work. Again, I need to define this that even if you are in the labor force, all right, and then you are not actively seeking for a job, we will consider you not in the labor force, even if you are in the working age. Sorry. So if you are in the working age, and then you are not actively seeking to work, that means you are not in the labor, you are not in the labor force. That is the meaning. Okay. So when you are a graduate and you are 28, 30, and you are tired, some people have been looking for a job and they are tired of looking for a job. So if they are tired of looking for a job, what happens? Definitely the person is not in the labor force. So look at the blue light now, the blue chart. Those that are now in the labor force, we have those that are employed. We have those that are underemployed. And we have those that are unemployed. Now, so we now have those that are employed. That means those that are working. Those that are working, okay? Those that are working are the people that are what? Employed. Again, you must be careful of your definition of working. Somebody can be 28 years, a graduate, and is doing Yahoo Yahoo. He is not employed. You must be employed and you must be working. It must be within the confines of the law. The job you are doing must be defined within the confines of the law. You can't just wake up and either the person is stealing or the person is doing Yahoo Yahoo and the person tells you he's working. He is not working. Okay? He is not what? Working. Your employment must be legal and your employment must be defined. Then we have those that are underemployed. You will see later the meaning of those that are underemployed. Yes, they are working, but the number of hours they work in a week is not up to that particular number of hours they are supposed to do work. And then we have those that are unemployed, all right, at all. Yeah, so we have those, sorry, I think that's the network. So we have those that are what? Unemployed. So that is the category. So for the fact that Nigerian population is 206 million as at now, does not mean is it that you are working or you are not working. No, there are 206 million. You will now divide them into those that are not in the working age. Then you divide them and get those that are working age. Within the working age, you look at those that are in the labor force. You look at those that are not in the labor force, those that are not willing. Within the labor force, you now look at those that are employed. And then you look at those that are what? Unemployed. After understanding this category, you can then say that unemployment rate is equals to labor force minus employed labor. Okay? All over labor force times 100 over 1. Or you say unemployment rate is equals to number of unemployed, okay, all over labor force times 100/1. So at this point, I'm going to share the fourth quarter of the National Bureau of Statistics labor force in fourth quarter 2020 in Nigeria. The fourth quarter is between October, November, December 2020. I will share this slide and you will see the different structure of labor force that we have. Okay. So I will be sharing the fourth quarter. Okay. So I believe you can see my screen. I believe you can see. If you don't need to respond, yes. Okay. I believe you can see my screen. Alao Oluwatoyosi, can you see my screen?
Yes, sir, I can see it.
All right. Okay. So now this is the fourth quarter of the labor force statistics 2020 that was published by National Bureau of Statistics. Remember I told you the National Bureau of Statistics, they are the ones in charge of this particular statistics. Okay. So we begin. Look at the labor force. All right. This is it. You see, they've defined it. The labor force. Okay, let me leave. This is between age 15 and 24. Let me go to, okay. They further divided the population. Remember, we agreed that it's between 15 and 64. But they now said, okay, let us divide the population into different strata. This is between age 15 and 24. Many of you fall within this age. You see, the labor force is 9 million. Within that labor force that is 9 million, we have those that are unemployed, 5 million of them. Definitely, these 5 million are unemployed. Then we have 2.6 million, all right, out of the labor force that are fully employed. So that means for you to be fully employed, it means that you must be working at least 40 hours a week. That is for 5 days, Monday to Friday. 40 divided by 5, 8 hours. That means you must be working at least 8 hours every day. And 8 hours every day is what? 8 to 4, 8 to 4, 8 to 4. That means you'll be working at least 8 to 4, 8 to 4, 8 to 4. Then we have those that are not working fully, that are still underemployed. They are working between 20 to 39 hours. Those, they do 4 hours job, 5 hours job, 2 hours job. Now, within unemployed, we have 2 groups. One, those that are working between 1 and 19 years. 2, those that did not even work at all. So you see, somebody working between 1 and 19 years, 19 hours, sorry, a week, is still classified unemployed. Now, between 1 and 19 hours, let's assume the highest is 19 hours. 19 divided by 5, if you approximate to 20 over 5, that's 4. That means 19 divided by 5 is like below 4 hours. That means anybody that is doing 3 hours work a day is still unemployed. That's the meaning. So even if you have a job, you go and do a delivery, just go and do one job, 2 hours, 1 hour, you are classified as what? Unemployed. So between those that are 15 years and 24 years, you can see, all right, the underemployment rate is 19%. The unemployment rate, all right, we use the new Nigeria. There are 2 ways of calculating it. Nigeria considered there's old method, we have the new method. You see that it's 53.4%. Then for 25 to 34, don't worry, I will share this document with you. You can see the unemployment rate, 37.2%. Then for between the ages of 35 to 44, what happens is now 27.2%. Okay, between 45 and 54, what happens? 25.4%. And between 55 and what? 64. Remember, that's the last. We have what? 25.9%. Okay. Now, look at the qualification of people according to their qualification that are in the labor force. Look at the age group. All right. Of course, you will note that most of them that are between 15 and 34 years that have first school leaving certificate are mostly what? Are mostly those that are in that particular category. You can also see the male and the female. Okay. All right. And you can see different classifications, okay, of the labor force. Then look at the unemployment rate trend between 2014 and 2020. Look at the way it has grown. The unemployment rate has continued to what? Grow. You can see the blue line. That tells you the pattern of what? Unemployment in where? In Nigeria. Okay? So in the Nigeria, for the total now, how many labor force do we have? 69 million of them. How many are unemployed? 23 million. That 23 million is a total of what? Those that work between 1 and 19 hours and those that did not work at all. So that is 11 million plus the 12 million. That gives you the 23 million that are what? Unemployed. Okay. Then under those that are employed, we have people that are still underemployed and we have those that are fully employed. You see that those that are underemployed is 50% of those that are fully employed. Look at it. 30 million are fully employed, while a whole whooping about 16 million are not what? Fully employed. That tells you the structure of Nigerian what? Population. So the unemployment rate is 33.3%. That means for the fourth quarter last year, no, October, November, December, when the lockdown was being eased, okay, the unemployment rate was what? 33.3%. All right. So we have other information according to first school living certificate. For the first school living certificate, 30.9% of them are unemployed. Those that have OND, HND, and all of that, 24.8. Then those that have vocational or handiwork, okay, the unemployment there is 30%, very high. Then those that have junior secondary school certificate, 34%, very high. Those that have senior school certificate, 37%, very high. Those that have A levels, okay, 50%, you can imagine, very high. Those that have NC, OND, and have nursing, look at the unemployment, 32%, that's still okay. Those that have BSc, HND, and all of that, 40%. You see that you people that are still in year one, those that already have certificate, 40% of them don't have job. Then those that have technical, those that are into technical, they are professors, 28%. You see, very low. Those that have masters, 27%, still low. Those that have PhDs, 16%, very low. Then we have others, okay? So unemployment for male, 31% are unemployed for male, okay? And then for female, you have 35%. The purpose of this is for you to appreciate the structure of unemployment in Nigeria, so that when you see questions in your OBJ that tells you about the unemployment structure, don't worry, I'm not telling you I'm going to see questions that will tell you, oh, those that are unemployed, that are within the ages of this is 20%. No, no, no. I'm not going to ask you all those kind of questions. But questions that revolve around you understanding the structure of the word unemployment. For example, you should know by now from all of this I've shown you, you should know from all of this that I've shown you that you should know from all of this that I've shown you that those that have doctorates have lower unemployment rates. And the highest is those that have first degree, BSc, BA, or HND. 40%. This is followed by those that have first school leaving certificate. What does that tell you? The rate of people that becomes or churn out to become graduates is high, but the rate of those that actually proceed to do masters or doctorates is low. So many people just are graduates and they remain graduates and they begin to look for job. That makes the unemployment rate to be what? Very, very what? High under that particular what? Scenario. Okay? That is the purpose. Again, we have the unemployment population according to urban and the rural. So in the urban, 31% unemployment. Then in the rural sector, 34%. So we have more people that are unemployed in rural areas, villages, rural sector than the urban. Okay? So look at how the population has been divided from 2015 to 2020. You can now see those that are employed. You see those that are underemployed. Sorry. You see those that are fully employed. You see those that are unemployed. You see those that are not in labor force. You see the total labor force. You see the what? Working age. That means working age for 2020, 122 million are in the working age. But how many are in the labor force? 69 million. That means we have many people that are not in labor force. A whole 122 million are working age, are between 15 and 64. But only 69 million are in the labor force. That means 122 minus 69, say 122 minus 70, that's 52. That's about 51 million people. 51 million people are not in the labor force. That means 51 million people are either incapacitated by their health issues or they are not willing to work, right? Or they are not doing the legal work, or they are not searching for job. 51 million. That tells you the level of pessimism that is in the Nigerian labor workforce. So when I ask you questions in your OBJ that, oh, assuming the structure of Nigerian population in such a way that out of 122 million people that are in the working age, 69 million of them are in the labor force. What does this imply? That tells you that we have more people, about 50% of more of the people that are supposed to be looking for jobs, they are tired. Either they are not looking for the job again, they are not even willing to work, or they are doing the things that are not legal, so they are not even in the labor force. Are we together? Very, very important you understand it, okay? All right, so having said that, so this labor market, you see, those are not in the labor force. 52 million. Those are labor force 69 million. So that is why when government tells you that, oh, unemployment rate is 33%, you will say, it's a lie, John. It's a lie. We have many people that are not employed. We have many. There are many people that are not employed. I can count people. Brother A is not working. Brother B is not working. Brother C is not working. Brother J is not working. Brother F, are they searching for a job? If they are searching for a job, put them. You will see the unemployment rate will be about 70%. Because imagine, out of these 52 million people that are not in labor force, assuming 40 million are actively searching for a job, that means the labor force will increase by what? 40. That's 109 million. Okay? And what does that mean? It then means that those that are now in the unemployment rate will be very high. So you need to understand the logics behind it. So you need to understand so that you know why unemployment rate is this. So you don't just wake up and say, it's a lie, Joe. They are just saying it so that Buhari will win. Or they're just saying so that they'll say Buhari is a good president. Or they'll just say that they'll say Jonathan is a good president. It has nothing to do with politics. It has absolutely nothing to do with politics. What we are saying is that people are not actively searching for job. That's it. People are not actively searching for job. If people are actively searching for job, then the unemployment rate will be high, but people are not searching for job. So this has revealed that for you to have an understanding of that particular, so you look at the unemployment rate, okay, and then look at the unemployment rate. You see the way it has been increasing. As at 2014, it was 6.4%. As at last first quarter, 33.3%. The second quarter, 2020, was 27%. Okay. As at last 2018, it was 23%. So between second quarter 27 to 33, what happened? 5% unemployment rate jumped up. That 5% is because of what? The coronavirus pandemic. You know why I'm saying all of this? So that when you see it in question, you won't say you are not taught. So when you see a case where I tell you, oh, the second quarter 2020 unemployment rate was 27.1%, while the fourth quarter was 33.3%. The increase, the sudden increase in the unemployment rate can be attributed to, I'll be saying something, of course, it is the coronavirus pandemic that has caused that particular scenario. Okay? So you look at other countries' unemployment rate. This is Nigeria. Look at top 5 highest. Okay? Bosnia, 33.7. Namibia, 34%. South Africa, 30.8. Angola, 34. Mozambique, 24. All those are in the highest. They are all in where? In Africa. Most of them are in Africa, except Bosnia. Then look at the lowest, top lowest. Qatar, 0.1%. Imagine, 0.1%. Belarus, 0.3%. Even Niger, 0.3%. Myanmar, 0.9%. Laos, 0.6%. One thing again you understand is that the population of these people are very low. And that can also explain why their unemployment rate is also low. Then we have unemployment according to states. I will stop sharing this. Let me just quickly show you the unemployment rate according to states. I believe you can see the slide. Alao Oluwatoyosi, can you see the slide?
I can see the slide. Yes, sir.
The Excel file, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so look at the unemployment rate according to states. That's where I'm going to. I want to bring it out. Look at it. Unemployment rate according to states. And so let's look at it now. This is arranged according to, state and capital, Abia, Umuahia, blah, blah, blah. Look at the unemployment rate. You see, Abia, 50%. So let's now arrange it according to the highest. Look at it. Imo has the highest rate of unemployment, 56.64%. Many people are not working. Adamawa, 54%. Cross River, 53%. Yobe, 52%. Akwa Ibom, Abia. Look at Lagos. Lagos is 37%. And the least is Osun State, 11.65%. We have many civil servants in Osun. I remember one time the former governor, Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola, came to Unilag when we invited him for a program. And of course, he complained about, he didn't complain, he made comment about the large civil servants they have, proportion of civil servants they have. Okay? And most of those civil servants that they've been there, but look at the list, 11.65%. So I'm showing you this for you to have an understanding of your unemployment. So you are not just studying unemployment in economics like macro. Unemployment can be defined as this. No. You need to understand the meaning of this. Okay? All right. So I don't know. There are no questions as of now.
Is that probably let's say after their certificate, probably they are looking for a job, there's no job. imagine someone that graduates with a first class in economics now opening a POS shop like Momo agent. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So what type of unemployment are we going to call that?
No, the person is gainfully employed. He is a graduate. As at the point he was looking for a job, he didn't get a job. He's unemployed at that point. But at the
Okay.
point he opens up a POS shop and is there doing his POS business from morning
Okay.
till night, he is fully employed.
Okay. That's not
So
unemployment.
that's not unemployment. He's fully
All
employed.
right. Okay.
The only thing that he has decided to be doing POS business, although he can as well as be working in a bank or somewhere, okay, but that's what he has decided to do. That is why you must understand that unemployment is time bound. I can okay, let me not use myself. Somebody can be unemployed now and tomorrow is employed. So it is time bound, is defined, is within time bound. Okay, we need to understand that. Chukwudaluoba, your question.
Okay, good morning, sir.
Yes,
In reference to when you said women, wives that has to stay home, they are not willing to work. I would like to object that because there are some women that probably stay home that actually are willing to work, but due to circumstances or their husband's reasons say they should stay home and do not work, but doesn't mean that they're not willing. So can you classify them under unemployed, although they feel like doing something though?
okay. Now they feel like doing something, but they did not make an attempt to search for job. They are still under not in the labor force. So I understand that within them, oh, I feel like working, I feel like doing this, I feel like doing that, I feel like I want to do this work, I want to do this work. Yes, but because of the family, they are confined within the family, or the husband says they should not work and all of that. In as much as when their husband goes out to work, they did not step up out of the house to go and look for a job. They are not in the labor force. But if their husband tells them, "Man, Shishel, don't work, stay at home, I'm going to work on me, bye bye, take care," and gives her a peck, and the husband left for work. If when the husband goes out for work, around 9 o'clock, she baths and dresses up and go and start looking for a job and tell them that I used to do this, so I can bake, I can do this, so please, in case you see any work, in case once she's doing that, she is in the labor force. But if she's obeying her husband, that my husband says not going, I'm at home, Ekara, Bubarale, She Wapa, She Tiji, She Dadalaji, and you are greeting everybody. After greeting everybody, you just stayed. You are not in the labor force. So I acknowledge that there are some women that they willingly want to work, they honestly want to work, but because of their husband, family, and all of that, yet they are still not in the labor force.
Okay, thank you, sir.
All right. We have many hands. You know the class ends by 10, and I still have many things to do. Adiola Peculiar, question.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Hello, just don't worry, just wait. You don't need to say good morning. I am already good. Just leave that one. Just straight to the question so
Okay, sir.
we can save time, because many are on the online, their data, as well as we are time conscious. So, and I want to take as many questions as possible. So straight question.
All right, sir. You said that those that are underemployed are those that work within 19 hours downward. Like, is that the only way to classify those that are underemployed? What of those that their skill doesn't match with market value, like those like doctors working in bank? What are we going to call those people?
Yes. Now, okay. So now, for kindly mute your mic. I'm not precious. Mute your mic. Please, I didn't call you. Just mute your mic, please. Ajao, please, I didn't call you. Mute your mic. So, so I understand what you're saying, but according to Nigeria's definition of underemployment, they define it as those that are not working, that are working below 19. Technically, yes, you are a graduate, you are an engineer, and you're supposed to be in the factory, and you find yourself, okay, that's just a mismatch. It's just a mismatch. You are a graduate, you're supposed to be in the industry, chemical engineering, you're supposed to be in maybe Unilever or one factory producing chemical, producing perfume, producing cream, producing soap, but you are in the bank counting money. That's a mismatch. But note that before that person starts working in the bank, the person undergoes about 6 months training. So once the person undergoes 6 months training, that's so sufficient, okay, for it. So that answers the question. Um, please, so if you have answered Oluwatoyosi, your question. Oluwatoyosi,
Question.
ma?
Hello. I have no question, sir.
Okay, so I'll lower your hand. Babajide James, your question.
Please, sir, this is my question. I want to ask that is it everyone that are not in the labor force that are classified unemployed?
No. We have population, we have labor force, we have not a labor force. For you to be unemployed, you must be in the labor force. You must be in the labor force. Just that you don't have a job, but you are searching. If you are not in the labor force, okay, and you are in the working age, it means you are not searching for a job. All right. Don't worry. When you get this video that I've recorded, you'll be able to get a better understanding about it. Blessing Ibukun. Blessing Ibukun, your question. Lawal Usman, your question.
Please, I want to talk
Good
about
morning, sir.
those that do subscribe to all these online sessions.
I can't hear you.
So they
Somebody
consider
that I can't hear you, Usman.
I was asking about those that do subscribe to online job sites, probably through an agent. Would you consider to be under the workforce also?
They subscribe online to do what?
To set job for them, probably all these job man and other
Of
sites.
course, they are in the labor force, but they are not employed. They are in labor force and not employed. Sanity Moti, what's your question?
Sir, for those that are not searching or not seeking for job, how the country make a statistics of them? Is it that they use a survey or what?
Yes, they use a survey. When I send the documents,
Okay, sir. Thanks.
methodology. Raphael, your question?
Hello, sir.
Go straight to your question. I can't hear you. Sorry, your network is bad. I can't. Olakitan.
I just want to.
Raphael, can you mute
Hello,
yourself?
sir.
I can't hear you, so you can stop asking the question. Your network is bad. So Olakitan, what's your question?
Please, sir, can you re-explain what active? Like, can you talk more?
I can't hear you. I'm sorry. Olakitan.
I said not actively seeking to work. What it means? Like, can you Can you?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. So now I would continue with my lecture. Everyone, please lower your hand. Definitely, I couldn't hear you. Maybe when is a time for the final questions, you should be able to ask your questions. And I believe everybody is in, so I'm going to lock. All right. So we'll continue from there. So that gives you a pattern of the unemployment in Nigeria. Okay. So let's continue the lecture slide. Okay. So let's now look at the types of unemployment. The types of unemployment. The types of unemployment. Of course, there are 4 types of unemployment in economic literature. Of course, we know there is one you have learned in your secondary school, seasonal unemployment. People are unemployed because of season and out of season. We no longer categorize it under types of unemployment because through technology, we have been able to observe, identify, or discover that through technology, you can control your season, you can determine your season. So you don't have to wait until it rains for you to begin to say, oh, let's engage them in working. And then wait when it's dry season. You can produce both in season and out of season. Most of the European nations, Ireland, Belgium, okay, Sweden, they have massive technologies that aids them in production. Even when their temperature is not favorable, they have those agrochemicals that they use. So that means you don't have to wait until April before you say, oh, it's time to plant, and wait until August break. For those that stayed in the village and you say you are waiting for time to plant, no, you can plant both in season and out of season. So if you are a farmer, you can be planting and cultivating on monthly, on quarterly basis. So there's no point in be saying, yes, this is this rainy season. People will be engaged more. Dry season, no work, everybody go and sleep. Seasonal unemployment, no. All right, so frictional. The frictional unemployment, of course, is just people that are unemployed, all right? There are 2 definitions, the same thing. When you say frictional unemployment, it's just an unemployment that exists between the time someone leaves a job and that point the person seeks for another. Okay? So within that point, we will have job vacancies and we will have job seekers. So there is vacancy, we have job seekers. Within that point, somebody leaves a job. Once the person leaves a job, vacancy has been created. Somebody will come and fill it up. Within those periods, we say it is frictional unemployment. Why do we have those periods people leave job, change job, search for new one? 2 schools of thought, the classicalist and the neoclassicalist. The classicalist said that imperfection will exist in the labor market when new job seekers enters. There will be imperfection. Remember that wage will determine how much you're paying, including my wage, determines if I'm willing to work or not. And so if I'm willing to work, I enter the labor market. The moment I begin to seek for job, I am unemployed. But if we have more people seeking for job, firms might decide to lay off some and employ some. That will create vacancy. You will have new job seekers. That short period is unemployment will arise, and that is frictional. The second school of thought is the neoclassicalist, and they said it's because of the rigidity in wage downwards. That is, it is easy for wage to increase, but it's difficult for wage to fall. That is why you see somebody that has been working and is earning 50,000. If he's looking for a job and he's doing kurukere to go for interview, he is not going to go for interview to a job that is lower than 50,000. He will definitely decide to go for a job interview that is higher than 50,000, and that might be say 80,000. So because wage does not come down easily, it's easy for wage to go up. You will always have those that are seeking for job and changing jobs. So between that period, people are seeking for job and changing job, we see the unemployment existing there is frictional unemployment. The second one is structural unemployment. And this particular type of unemployment is important. And this is unemployment that arises as a reason or because there is a change in the structure of the economy. There is a structural change, okay? There is a change in the structure of the economy. So because there's a change in the structure, the industry, the sectors, you know, we have three main sectors now: agric, industry, five main sectors, agric, industry, services, trade, and construction. So when there's a change in that structure of the economy, what happens? Structural unemployment will exist. People will be laid off. Look at the agric sector. In the 70s, you must have heard these stories almost all the time. In the early 60s and 70s, Nigeria was a top exporter of cocoa, grains, basically. Cocoa product, bean cocoa, and palm oil, all of that, grains. So agricultural sector was booming. You know, people were involved, engaged. And then we were told that even agric employed about 70% of the total population, those are in the labor force. But when oil was discovered, that sector was neglected. And then those agriculturalists, they lost their job. That is structural employment. And people switched to the oil. Let's look at now from 2008, 2010 down to now. I know for some of you, as of 2008, you were very young. Yes. So if you're 16 years now in year one, 2008, that was 13 years ago. So it could have been 3, 4, or 5 years then. But within that 2008, there were major changes in technology. And that was our third industrial revolution, okay? The age of, technology, speed. And if you look at the financial sector, the banks, initially, banks do not have ATM. There's no ATM. There's no ATM. There's no MasterCard. There's no mobile money. There's no USSD. There's no bank app. There's no smartphone. I remember those times, 2007, 2006. If I pay money into a bank, it will take 2 or 3 days for the person to receive the money. Because when you pay in, there is no computer that will just credit the account, sharp, bagger. No. You wait after 3 working days. If I want 1,000 naira by then, I will go to bank. If I want 500 naira, I will go to bank and queue. There was no ATM. So we had many bank workers, many bankers. If you enter the banking hall, you will see maybe 15 teller, people that are collecting money. You have section for collecting money. You have section for paying in. You have section for payment, receipt. So we have so many bank workers. But when technology advancement erupted, imagine now, you can go to a market, you don't even need to cash. You can just make a transfer, sharp. The person will just receive a lot. You can go with your ATM POS. People were no longer needed in the bank. And as at that 2010, 11, 12, there were so many millions of bankers that were sacked because ATM came up. I can now withdraw my money without entering the bank. I can't even remember when last I entered my main bank. And yet I transact. I can just take my ATM, go and withdraw money. I don't need to enter the bank. So you now discover that people were no longer needed in the bank. All those sessions for deposit. All right. So now you now have few people in that teller session. 3, 4. And that is because of this, let's say this area now, this Lagos, this main city. Of course, in the villages, people are still skeptical of using ATM and all of that. So you can still have many of them, but check most of these banks. In Japan, they don't even use cash anymore. They are almost cashless. You see a kid does not even need cash. His account is linked to his fingerprint. He just goes to the supermarket, picks whatever he wants to pick. As he's about leaving, he just put his fingerprint. Immediately, they debit him. He just go. So he doesn't need cash. He doesn't need to go to bank. He doesn't need to disturb the bank. All of those things are changes in the structure of the Nigerian financial institution that now made many people not to be needed and they were laid off. That is structural unemployment. Again, I remember when I was in secondary school. I was in secondary school in Delta State, and my brother was in Lagos. If I want to communicate to him, I'll write a letter. And it takes 2 weeks, at times 1 week, if he's so fast, for the letter to get to him. He will now read the letter and take another 1 week for him to respond. So if I wanted to communicate to him, I want to greet him, now he's doing whatever, it will take me, communication might be like 2 to 3 weeks. But look at what telecommunication has done. As at then, Nigerian Post Office, they were enjoying. People were working there. Nigerian Post Office, I want to drop it that people were working. But look at today, telecommunication. I can even call somebody in America with WhatsApp. Instantly, we will talk. Initially, there was a delay, but now instantly, I can call someone and we are talking instantly. So I don't even know when last, I don't even know where post offices are now. Those people have been laid off. That is structural unemployment. This also goes to typists. There was a time that going to type in school, to go and type, was a big thing. Offices were employing typists because there was no computer, there was no laptop, there was only no desktop, there was only that typist. That thing you be typing, you will pull it, you will pull it, because technology came on board. We now have the machines, we now have laptops, typists are no longer. That is structural unemployment. Okay. Then we have a natural rate of unemployment. Okay. And that is the rate of unemployment. Of course, it was developed by Friedman. Okay. It is the rate of unemployment that exists in the equilibrium real wage rate. Remember, when you have equilibrium, what does that mean? Demand for labor is equal to supply of labor. Those people that want to work is equals to those that they want to employ. Banks want to employ 1,000 workers. How many people are willing to work? 1,000 people. What happens? Everybody is engaged. Despite that, there will always be an unemployment rate. That is the natural rate of what? Unemployment. It is a bit different from frictional because under frictional, people leave their job to search for job. People leave their job to search for job. But under natural, okay, people are not leaving their job to search for job. The demand for labor is equal to the supply of labor. But that natural exists. That is why natural rate of unemployment is that unemployment that exists at full employment. So when I was explaining full employment, all right, I explained full employment, The natural rate is now the one that is existing at full employment. This natural rate of unemployment is somehow theoretical. Like you can't really identify it, place a hold on it. It's theoretical. The two you can easily place a hold on. No, the three, but you can easily place a structural, is pronounced. Frictional, you might be struggling to, because for people need jobs after job. It's happened. Some people just say, I'm not working again. I'm tired of this job. It's killing me. I'm not working again. Because they have the work experience. So they can just resign and they believe they will get another job. It might take 1 month, 2 months. Within that time, they are unemployed. That is frictional. Okay? Then the last is cyclical unemployment. Cyclical unemployment is unemployment that exists because there's a fall in demand. There is a fall in demand. That one is the cyclical unemployment. Who developed this relationship is the Robert Okun, and is known as the Okun's law. The Okun's law was able to establish a relationship between unemployment and output. And he found out that every 1% increase in unemployment will result in 2.5% reduction in real GDP below the natural output. Let me just make it very simple. He found out that whenever unemployment increases by 1%, GDP will fall by 2.5%. That means there's a relationship between unemployment and GDP. If you reverse it, what that means is that if GDP falls, unemployment will rise. If GDP falls, unemployment will rise. So this equation shows the link between a fall in GDP and a rise in unemployment. So when GDP falls, YN is a natural rate of output. That's the capacity of the economy. Remember when you did production possibility curve, your PPC curve, that point on your PPC curve is describing the what? The actual potential output of the economy. The output of the economy, that's the capacity of the economy. But people can produce below, okay? So the YN is a natural or the potential output. So when output falls Y below the YN, the rate of change in this fall is related to what? Unemployment. That's it. That's it. So each time output falls, unemployment will increase. And each time output increases, unemployment will fall. So cyclical unemployment is unemployment that arises when there is a fall in what? Demand. So if people are not demanding for a particular product, unemployment what? Arises. Let me give an example. Okay, no, I can't use this example. This example I want to give is similar to structural. For example, remember when carpet was raining? People were buying carpet. People were carpet everywhere. Carpet. Those that were producing carpet, they'll be working now. But now carpet has faded away, and we now have tiles. I don't even know. Are people still even selling carpet? Maybe people are selling all this carpet for decoration for the middle parlor. For somebody now rent an apartment and now say I want to put carpet, doesn't exist again. It exists, but like it's so minimal. Many houses, once they build, they put tiles. So people that were employed that are into production of carpet, then I remember one company, Kes Carpet, they were raining everywhere. So if those Kes Carpets have not changed their line of business, those people that are engaged will be what? Unemployed. Again, once there is fall in demand, for example, the unemployment that arose last year because of that coronavirus is cyclical unemployment. Why? There was lockdown. When there was lockdown, people stopped demanding for services, goods. There was a fall in demand. The lawyer could not have case again. Everybody stands still. Court put on hold. The driver could not get passengers. No more customers. Conductor, go and sleep in your house. The driver, return the bus to the owner. Go and sleep, no work. So there was fall in demand. And since there was fall in demand, that was why GDP shrink. And because of that, what happens? Unemployment will also what? Rise. That's what? The cyclical unemployment. Let's now look at the Phillips curve. Phillips was able to explain the relationship between wage rates and unemployment. Wage rates, unemployment. Wage rates, unemployment. Phillips found a negative relationship between the rate of change in wage and rate of change in unemployment. You remember in your first semester, you've done production, and production is dependent on capital and labor. The payment for capital is interest. The payment for labor is wages. Okay? When you pay more people wages, you will transfer it to increase in the price of your goods, because your production cost determines your final price of goods. So if you are paying people more wage, price of your goods will be increasing. Inflation will increase. If that is the case, that means wage can be likened to inflation, meaning increases in real wage is likened to increases in inflation, because when you increase real wage, you transfer the bulk of that increase in wage to the prices of goods. Nobody wants to provide goods for free, of course. So that's why pure water has increased, okay? Because cost of capital has increased. But if pure water was depending on labor, if people start saying, no, I cannot work for you again, no, you have to pay me 100,000 instead of 60,000 before. No problem, I will pay you now. If everybody said we should pay, I will pay. But what will I do as a producer? I will just transfer it to what? To the prices of the goods and services. So what that means is that increases in what? Real wage is the same thing as increase in inflation. So Phillips found a negative relationship between real wage and unemployment, that when real wage is high, unemployment will be low. And when real wages are decreasing, unemployment will be what? High. He did that for USA, and look at the result he found. He found the negative relationship between what? Unemployment and what? Changes in real wage. These changes in real wage is the same thing as what? Inflation. While this unemployment rate, and look at it, it was inverse. This was Phillips curve. Now, I did the one for Nigeria, and look at what I found in Nigeria. I used between the first quarter 2015 and the second quarter 2020. So between 2015 to 2020, okay? That's about 4 quarters per year, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So that's about 22 data points, because it ends in second quarter 2020, 22 data points. Look at the inflation, the relationship between inflation and unemployment rate. In this case, it is what? Positive. Sorry. In this case, it is what? Positive. Look at it. That means for Nigeria, the Phillips curve is not holding, because the Phillips curve says it should be what? Negative. It should be slanting. But look at it. In Nigeria, it is what? Increasing. And that comes to the end of our lecture. So note, we've discussed the meaning of unemployment, the types, the considerations according to countries. We've looked at the measures of unemployment. We look at Nigeria, look at those categories, see the calculation, look at how it is across states, across different qualifications, across gender. We did all of that. Now we consider the types of unemployment and then Phillips curve. Okay?
They have there are some people that are physically challenged that they can't work. Under which type of unemployment can we classify that?
They are physically challenged, they can't work, they are not in the labor force. You know, I told you that there was a slide I shared. You can go back during the video session. Okay, there's a slide I shared. You will see that under that slide, people were not, there are people that are unable. Okay, they are unable. So that case, they are unable because of their disability, because of their health challenge. They are not in the labor force. All right. Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Yemi Bamboye. Yomi Bamigboye, Olaoluwa Enoch. Your question. Okay, so you don't have a question. If I can put on Abubakar Suleiman, your question.
Okay, so what does inflation has to do with Phillips curve?
Okay, Phillips was an economist, and then Phillips tried to look at the relationship between real wage rate, the growth in wage rate, and unemployment, and he found they are negatively related. Now, for those that will be studying economics, when you go higher, you discover that there is a link, a direct relationship between the growth in wage rates and the prices of goods and services, because wage is the payment for input in producing your output. So I want to produce this phone, for example. I need to get a capital of 1,000 naira. I need to employ 5 people. 5 of them, each of them, I pay them to 200 naira. 200 times 5, that's 1,000. My total cost of production of this phone is 2,000 naira. 1,000 naira for capital, 1,000 naira for labor, employing 5 people, paying each of them to 200. So that is my total cost. I will sell this phone 2,200 and make a profit of 200 naira. If tomorrow those 5 workers said, no, we are not collecting 200 naira, we want to be collecting 300 naira, what happens? Either I lay them off or I decide to employ them. If I lay them off, what has happened? They are demanding for higher wage, and I've laid them what off. If I choose not to, and I say, okay, they are the best people, I employ 5 of them. Before, I'm paying 1,000 naira as wage, but now I will be paying 1,005 because it's now 300 naira times 5 people, that's 1,500. Total cost of producing this phone is no longer 2,000. It is now 2,500. There is nowhere I can sell this phone for 2,002. I was telling you before. I might now sell it 2,008. What has happened? The price of this phone has increased from 2,002 to 2,800. Why did the price increase? Because the wage I'm paying to produce this phone has also what? Increased. That means the growth in real wage can be likened to the growth in the prices of the goods. And the growth in the prices of the goods is what? Is inflation. So there's a relationship between inflation and real wage. And since Phillips said real wage and unemployment are inverse, that directly implies by logic that unemployment and inflation are inverse. Okay? It implies that unemployment and inflation are what? Inverse, because there is now an indirect relationship between what? There's a direct relationship between what? The price of this phone, which is inflation, and real wage. And since real wage and unemployment are inverse, that will imply that unemployment and inflation are also inverse. Any other question? Bamidele, what's your question?
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Where can we classify them underemployment? Is it underemployed people? Is it employment rate or unemployment?
Underemployed is see, when you look at underemployed, you must classify it within the employed. You cannot put it under unemployed. Look at it. Those that work 40 hours and above, they are fully employed. They are still employed. Those that are underemployed, they work below between 20 and 39. They are underemployed. Okay, but they are still working. And we have those, what am I even saying? The underemployed are those that are not working. Yeah, the underemployed are between 20 and 39. Okay, they will still be inside the employment proportion. But those that are unemployed is what we consider the unemployment rate. So there are three things: fully employed, underemployed, and unemployed. Okay, fully employed, underemployed, and unemployed. When you are calculating unemployment rate, those that are underemployed will still be inside the employment bracket. Don't worry. When I send that document, you will see it and you have a better understanding. All right.
Okay, sir.
So